Good evening. Hello. My name is Lynn O'Hara. I'm the Director of Programs at National History Day. Thank you so much for joining us for our fifth Google Hangout this year. We're really getting excited here. We are just over 5 weeks to the national contest for National History Day held at the University of Maryland at College Park. And the Kenneth E. Baring National Contest is essentially the highlight of our programming year. Everything we do leads up to that, and at the end of that, we all take a deep breath and reset for next year. So as we're wrapping our 2014 Rights and Responsibilities in History contest year, we wanted to take a few minutes tonight to chat with some of my favorite state coordinators and our NHD contest manager. So what I'd like to do is take a second and introduce everybody. First off, please say hello to Adrienne Harkness. Adrienne is our contest manager. She's at NHD headquarters in College Park, Maryland, and her job is absolutely everything dealing with the national contest. If there's a detail going on in that week, Adrienne knows about it. She is probably the single most organized, logical, methodical person that I know, and I think you need those kind of skills to be in her job. Also joining us, fresh off of his state contest in Oklahoma, is Jason Harris, our NHD in Oklahoma coordinator. Along with him is Matt Durrett. Matt's coming at us from Indiana. He's also live tweeting a little bit with us tonight. He's our Indiana state coordinator, and he's got his t-shirt on. So we're already getting ready with the shirts coming in. I haven't seen any buttons, though, yet. I was expecting a couple buttons tonight. Also want to say hello to Millie Freese. Millie is our NHD in Iowa coordinator, and hopefully the weather holds because they're calling for some tornadoes in her area, so if she disappears, that's why. And finally, from down south, we've got Renee McClendon, who's our NHD in Mississippi coordinator. We're having a little trouble with her connection. Oh, there she is. So we're excited to have her with us to talk a little bit about registration. So in order to get things started tonight, we're actually going to shift the focus to registration. Adrienne, I'm going to start with you. The reality is that some students, say, in Oklahoma today, just qualified for the national contest, and they're really excited, and they're trying to figure out what to do next. Can you talk a little bit about the registration process, how it works, and some tips and tricks for students navigating it for the first time?
Sure. So the first step is to go to the National History Day website, which is just nhd.org. And right there on the homepage, you're going to see a big colorful button on the left-hand side that says Contest Registration and Information. So you want to click that button, and there you will see all of the registration information that you could possibly need. Also, on that main page, you'll see a map. And if your state is red, that means that you will be able to register. And so you could simply scroll down and enter your student or educator with competing student status and begin registration that way. If you received a copy of the registration booklet at your contest, you can then follow those step-by-step instructions. But if you instead got a handout explaining how to download a PDF, you can download the PDF of the registration instructions right from the NHD homepage.
So basically, the directions actually matter, right?
Yes.
So as long as you take the time, read the directions, and follow them, you aren't going to really run into trouble. But we are coming up, like I said, we're 5 weeks from the national contest. So can you talk a little bit about this May 20th deadline? What's due on May 20th?
Okay, so your registration and payments need to be complete by midnight on May 20th, and that is midnight Eastern time. This includes all of the items within registration that you need to get green checks for. This includes your signing up for any dorm packages and meal packages on campus. It includes all payments, credit card payments, and if you're paying by check or purchase order, those need to be indicated in the system by midnight as well. If you are sending a check, then you do have until May 30th to actually get that to us in office, but you must indicate that payment in the system by midnight on the 20th.
Really quickly, as I have another question for you, but I wanted to mention, as I forgot in the beginning, that we want to make sure that questions are coming in from our viewers live. You can go on Twitter and use the hashtag NHD Hangouts. We'll monitor those and answer as many of them live as we can during the hour. And there really aren't questions that are stupid, and if they're really stupid, I just won't read them. I promise I won't embarrass you. But Adrian, let me ask you this question. All right, is May 20th really a deadline? Because, a lot of times people say it's the 20th and then like 24 hours before they push it back. Why is that really work? Tell us how it works with History Day.
Yes, it is the deadline. If you don't complete your registration and you call us the next day saying, oh, I just forgot or whatever, and if you still intend to come and compete, that means we have to do it for you, and you will be charged a $50 late fee. Even if it's just a matter of you forgot to pay with your credit card, we still have to do that for you, and you will be charged a late fee for that. So definitely you want to finish by midnight on May 20th so that you can be completely registered and not have to worry about a thing.
Okay. In addition to the typical things you'd find in registration, like dorms and meal plans and information, can you tell us a little bit about some of the special opportunities that are available for students at the national contest?
Sure. Well, when you are in your student registration, you'll see a number of different links. One link is to nominate your entry for special prizes. There are a bunch of different organizations that sponsor these prizes, and most of them are related to that organization's mission or focus. So you can browse the list of special prizes, see what their criteria are, and select 2 of those prizes to nominate your entry for. And of course, those winners are announced at our award ceremony on Thursday, June 19th. Another thing, you can also nominate your exhibit entry for show at the National Museum of American History. And that's also true for your performance entry. There will be one performance entry chosen to perform at a VIP reception on Wednesday at the National History Night event. So that's also an exciting thing. And then also students who are juniors and seniors in high school will see that there are 3 different scholarships that they can choose to apply for. One from Case Western Reserve University, one from Chaminade University, and one from the University of Maryland. And all of those details are in registration, so you should be able to find that there.
Great. I'll also put a little quick plug in for our teachers who are watching. I know that it can be very challenging as a teacher to get release time to chaperone students, but on both Monday and Tuesday in half-day chunks we have teacher workshops, and we're really excited about what we're bringing in, kind of a new style of professional development. We have Microsoft coming in on Monday, and on Tuesday we have the museum talking about their new civil rights and the First Amendment project, and also in the afternoon we have National Endowment for the Humanities and the Chronicling America project. All are great ways not only to kind of get you started for History Day 2015, but also to get you some professional development hours or credits that may apply in your state or your district. So please check those out in the registration system. What I'd like to do at this time is kind of turn our attention to Millie Fries from Iowa. Millie, a lot of students are very excited when they get to the state because they have a project that's placed first or second in their state or in their affiliate, which is great. But what are some of the things, because now they're going to be going up with against other students who all won first or second. What are some things students should think about as they prepare their paper or their website or their performance for the national contest?
Well, the first thing I want to say to students who are going to the national contest is congratulations, you have advanced, and you owe it, I think, to all the students who didn't advance to make your project the very best that it can be when you get it to the national contest. So to do that, you need to first look at all the feedback you got from judges and see what they thought maybe you could do to improve. Now, I know that sometimes the judges' comments aren't the most helpful, especially for the top placers. Sometimes the comments were, superior project, you did great work. Well, you don't know how to improve it from there. So you can seek out feedback. Go to your state coordinators. They've been to the national contest a lot of times. They know what great projects look like, and they can help you, give you some feedback to improve your project. You might also want to consider looking for experts in the area of your topic, maybe a university professor or a local college professor or community college professor, someone who can look at your project and give you some really helpful feedback on how you can improve it. To different teachers. If you're doing a performance, and you haven't consulted with a drama professor or a drama teacher at your school, that would be a great place to get some feedback to improve your work. The main thing is you want to be the very best you can be when you get out to nationals. So look for the kind of feedback that will help you do that. And the other thing with feedback is, people will give you lots of suggestions. As the student creator of this project, you've got to be able to evaluate the feedback and decide what is good and what moves your project in the direction you want it to go. So evaluate the feedback. It's not just a checklist of make all these changes to make it better. It's you figure out what makes it the best from the feedback you've gotten and go from there. The other thing, I always advise students from our state is, come with a plan A, B, C, and D. And most History Day kids know this. You bring along extra copies of bibliographies and process papers. Bring your stuff on a jump drive so that if you need to print something, or if you happen to go to a research place in DC and you find something awesome, you can add it to your project at the last minute for documentaries and exhibits and performances and such, because a lot of students do that. Have your work with you, or have it in in the Google Docs or something so that you can get it. Same with exhibits. Have your exhibit labels and things, because occasionally things get damaged in transit and you need to be able to do quick repairs. So have everything you need at hand to be able to do that. The other thing that I like to tell students is to proofread. I don't know how many times I've judged, even at the national level, and you find hokey little things like a bibliography where the sources are in different formats for every entry, as though they copied and pasted information from a library site or something. Make sure everything's in the same font. Make sure everything is standard format, whether you're using MLA or Turabian, and make sure there aren't any typos. By the time you get to the national level, we don't want to see any typos in your paperwork or in your in your process paper, in your bibliography. We want to see good standardized formatting for bibliographies. Just make it the best that you can be. And I think that's the best advice I have for students who are headed to nationals with their projects. You owe it to everybody who didn't make it to be the best you can be. So get all those little mistakes corrected and find the people who can help you and offer feedback that will improve your project for the next level.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like, and keep in mind too, our websites and papers have a little bit of an earlier deadline because those judges get going early. So
Right.
They have until May 20th. So essentially 2 more weekends from now. So they've got lots to keep them busy. Millie, quick question though. If I'm a student, I can add to my bibliography?
Of course you can. You can, if for papers and websites, obviously you have to be done by May 20th because that's the drop dead deadline. The paper has to be on your desk by May 20th, not just in the mail. But between then and now for papers and websites, you can do more research. You can add to your bibliography based on your judges or other feedback you've gotten and do additional research. And I've been out in DC with Iowa students in the documentary performance and exhibit categories where they can keep working, and they are at the Library of Congress or they're at the National Archives or they're finding things while they're in DC, and they add to their bibliographies and print them at Kinko's, in the 11th hour just before they go get judged. So, the hallmark of Great History Day, kids, is you never stop learning about your topic. Even if you are a paper student or a web student, you never stop learning about your topic up to the moment you're judged. So just keep learning, keep expanding your knowledge. If you can keep adding to your bibliography or to your project, it's a great opportunity.
Absolutely, and a lot of times these new ideas can come in helpful in an interview situation. So even if it's not in your paper, that can be a great way to answer a judge's question.
Yes, exactly.
What I'd like to do, while we've got a good connection here, is I'd like to jump over to Renee McClendon, who's our coordinator from the state of Mississippi. I wanted to see if you could talk a little bit about what happens when students get to the contest. So they've gotten to the plane or they've gotten out of their bus and they're at the University of Maryland at College Park. What's it like? How does this work? Can you tell us a little bit about the first day of registration on Sunday? I'm sorry, Renee, I got to pause you for a second. We need to go ahead and unmute you. Renee, go ahead and click your unmute button at the top of the screen. And then we'll be able to hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you. Yes, when you get to College Park, you want to go to Stamp Student Union. Exciting. Think a little bit ahead of time about parking because it's very busy. Stamp Student, and there will be signs and there will all be people that can help you know where you need to go in order to register. It's a huge ballroom and there are places for students to register, places to pick up your information for your dorm, place to pick up a parking pass, and also to get your information. Your last name is, and then the student needs to actually pick up the registration materials for the student's project. Then after you pick up your registration materials, if you have shipped anything to the college, or if you have costumes that you shipped for performance, you can pick up those pieces. Exhibit students set up their exhibits after they register. And my recommendation for all students would be to check out where your presentation area is going to be, because then that will be a big advantage to you and make you less nervous.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the judging? Because I know a lot of students, especially those coming from maybe smaller states or from affiliates that have smaller contests, can get overwhelmed when they show up and see all of the students there. Because realistically, most of them are going into a category where there might be 100 different other students, either individuals or groups, they're competing against. What are some tips you have about judging at the national contest?
Absolutely. It can be your time that you're going to History Day Nationals, but hopefully the judging situation will be very similar to the situation that you had at your affiliate contest. And for paper students and exhibit students, you will have a time that you need to be at your room, and I would suggest being there 30 minutes early, and it will just be you and your judges. Whereas with performance and documentary and websites, those will all audience is allowed. So my suggestion, what I suggest for my students and what I would do if I were a student is to go to that room in the beginning of the day so you can see sort of how judging goes for the other students, and you'll be a little bit more comfortable and know how to react.
So is there anything I should be scared of with the judging? Is there anything they can really ask me that I wouldn't know and would have trouble with?
The judges are there for the students. Every single person at National History Day, whether it's parents or other students or the judges or teachers or coordinators, every single person wants the students to be successful and wants the students to have a positive experience. So it's a really good idea to practice so that you get more comfortable, but I don't believe that there's anything that you should be afraid of. Just go and do your best and have a wonderful experience.
Okay, great. I'm getting a couple notes on Twitter. There's some people having trouble getting access to the Hangout. If there's anybody who's out there watching, nhd.org/hangouts.htm Also, for our live viewers, please feel free to tweet questions. I have a couple preset ones that have been sent in to me, but I want to make sure we answer as many of your questions as possible. What I'd like to do at this point is to say thank you, Renee. We're going to go ahead and mute Renee and turn things over to Jason Harris, our coordinator in Oklahoma. Because for a lot of students, this is a really big trip, and a lot of students come literally thousands of miles. Can you talk about some of the things there are to do at the University of Maryland when you're not being judged while you're there?
There are a lot of things that you can do. One of the things that I really like to do with the students is you have some free time. So you want to take advantage of all the free time you have and do as many things as possible. One of the things that you can do, of course, is on Monday evening, there's the student dance. And then on Wednesday evening, there's the NHD night at the National Museum of American History that runs from 5 to 7:30. But there's things on campus that are easy to do. You ought to come prepared to be able to go outside and just spend time hanging out with kids from other states. I know a lot of times in the green right around the dorms, you'll find students playing frisbee, they'll be playing yard games, they'll just be sitting around chatting. Lots of groups get together in the lounges on the dorms, they watch movies, they do games together. Different states will have activities for students. Of course, you need to pack your swimming suit because the campus also has a wonderful swimming pool. And it's open during the week of the contest, and you'll have easy access to it, especially if you're in the dorms. And then there are numerous things you can do at STAMP. Outside of what Renee said, making sure that you take time to maybe go see some of the runoffs to see what some of the other students are doing from your state and other states. There's just a variety of activities. And the campus is pretty much open to you for just about anything you want to do.
Okay. And can you explain to our viewers, especially those who are coming from a distance, how the University of Maryland is related to Washington, D.C. and the nation's capital, and how you get back and forth and some of the opportunities that are available in D.C.?
Sure. One of the nice things about where the campus is located is you can take one of the campus shuttles right down to the College Park Metro Station, and you're just a few stops away from being able to be in downtown D.C. on the Greenbelt line. You can go right down to the mall where the Smithsonian and various museums are. You can walk the mall. You can visit the Jefferson and Lincoln Memorial. You can find your way to the White House and the Capitol without any trouble at all. You might want to venture over to Union Station and take some time to eat and just walk around and see the shops. And so it's just 15, 20, 25 minutes on the Metro line and you're there. And something that's really, really nice about the Metro system is I don't have any hesitation at all of telling parents to take the students on the Metro and enjoy being in D.C. and seeing how people get around. It's safe, it's clean, and you'll be surprised how easy you can do it.
Excellent. Okay, what I'd like to do is transfer over to Matt Durrett, who's our coordinator in Indiana. Matt, some of the things that students start getting nervous about is packing, especially those who are flying or coming a significant distance. Can you talk a little bit about the things that you should pack and the things that maybe you should leave at home?
Yeah, absolutely. So the good news is that all dorms will have air conditioning this year, which is very exciting. That's never been the case before, so we're all very excited about that. Even with that in mind, though, if you're staying in the dorms do provide some basic amenities, sheets for your bed, a pillow, some towels. I still like to bring my own towel. I like to bring my own pillow. I'll probably still bring a fan, honestly, just to help me sleep at night. So the dorms are college dorms. It's a great experience. I stay there every year. I highly recommend that other people do. So staying in the dorms is a great experience. Just be prepared for it. Also bring shower shoes for the dorms, and also your basic needs, soap, shampoo, things like that. The biggest thing I think is making sure you plan ahead for the trip. Scout out the downtown DC scene, what you might like to do on your free day or days. Scout out what museums you'd like to go to, what institutions you'd like to see. Some museums and locations require advance tickets, so look into things like that. And dress for the weather as well. It's probably going to be hot. It's June. It's outside of DC, so bring sunscreen, sunglasses. It could rain, so bring an umbrella. But also dress comfortably. Walking shoes. You'll probably be doing a lot of walking. University of Maryland is a very hilly campus, so make sure you're able to walk comfortably, and dress for the weather too in terms of shorts or History Day t-shirts. Just make sure you're prepared for that. Also, make sure you bring proper attire for your interviews. Dress professionally for your interview. I highly recommend that. As soon as you're out of your interview, you can change back into the comfortable clothes, but do make sure that you are prepared for the interview itself. And like Millie mentioned, I would make sure you're prepared in terms of bringing extra copies of your bibliography. Bring a jump drive with backups of everything you have. I highly recommend being as prepared as possible for the contest itself. Of course, you'll definitely want your History Day t-shirts from your state, and also your buttons. So make sure you talk to your state coordinator about how to get those. Some might give them back at your state, others might bring them for you. So make sure you're able to get your t-shirts and History Day buttons. You'll figure out the importance of those a little bit later. Find out the plan on what days you're supposed to wear your t-shirts. And also talk to your state coordinators before you go. Some of us do Capitol Hill visits on Wednesdays. Some of us have organized parties throughout the week. So try and learn the plan beforehand with your state coordinator. And also, as Jason mentioned, there are other amenities on campus, such as the pool, other things you can do. So try and scout out what you might like to do. I highly recommend taking advantage of the experience of spending as much time in DC as you can. So I highly recommend that. In terms of what not to bring, don't overplan it. Obviously, you only have so much space if you're flying. If you're driving, you'll only be there a few days, but just do dress comfortably. Don't take up too much space with unneeded objects or unneeded materials. I think it's best to just plan for the weather, plan for dressing comfortably, but also make sure you're prepared for your interviews as well.
Great. Okay. At this point in time, actually, I have one other question for you, Matt, before we jump to viewer questions. So please shout us your questions at NHD, hashtag NHD Hangouts on Twitter. I'm going to get as many of them in as possible. Some of our students, especially those coming from a distance, might have exhibit boards and or props for performances. I want to see, can you give them some tips and suggestions of what they can do to either, make smart choices about what to bring or how to get them there and how to decide what goes home with you?
Yeah, definitely. Make sure you take a look at the registration booklet. If a state coordinator did not have that for you after the state contest, it's available online at nhd.org. It's very easy to find. Look for the contest booklet. In there, there's instructions for shipping your exhibit, and you may be able to ship prop items as well. So take advantage of that service. It's a very useful tool. It's a very nice service that NHD provides. So definitely take advantage of that. Some other states or other classmates or what have you might be willing to drive your prop or exhibit out with them if you are flying. So communicate. That's another good reason to communicate with your state coordinator as well. They might know somebody that might be able to help you out. Your state coordinator might be able to help you out. So try and keep up direct communication with your state coordinator, but also look for those options for shipping as well.
I always used to tell my students that contractor trash bags are your best friend because you can have a fabulous exhibit board, and if it's raining when you're moving it, that board can turn to mush very, very quickly. That's why it's a good idea, like you're saying, to have those backups on a flash drive, but also make sure you're covering in plastic anything that can't get wet. If you do that, it won't rain, and we don't want rain at the national contest. But we've had our rainy days in the past, and we want to be careful to avoid those. Okay, got a couple questions that are coming in. I'm going to ask, start off with Adrian here. I wanted to see if you could talk a little bit about Night at the Museum. What is that? Can you talk a little bit about the students groups who are chosen to exhibit that day, and then what happens at night? Oh, I'm sorry, Adrian. We have to unmute you first. It's easy to forget that.
Well, during the day, one student from each affiliate is chosen to display their exhibit at the National Museum of American History. So those students and their exhibits will board the bus bright and early on Wednesday morning and go downtown to the National Museum of American History. And there they will set up their exhibits. The staff at the museum are great. They have tables set up, they have labels for your affiliates and name tags, and they really do a great job of organizing that. So as soon as you get there to the museum, you'll be able to find out where to go and how to set up. So that's a great opportunity to spend the day there at the museum. You'll be able to talk with a lot of the museum staff and curators. They will also have different performances and sort of museum events going on. And that's also true for the night at the museum. They have a bunch of different events, including, I believe, they are going to have some historical figures there, as they have done in the past. And then, of course, other VIPs to the museum will be there, and you'll be able to chat with them about your topic and your project. So it's really a sort of a celebration of all of your hard work, and you'll get to see exhibits from all other affiliates as well, and share your experience.
Well, and think about it too. Not only do you get to share your exhibit at the museum, you get to share your exhibit at the museum that has George Washington's uniform and Kermit the Frog and Henry Clay's desk, and I could keep going on. That's one of my favorite places in DC, if not my absolute favorite. So that's great. And in the evening, can you explain how the museum opens just for NHD students as well?
Right. So in the evening, they don't completely close down, but it's pretty closed down except for NHD students and their parents and teachers and other family members. And you'll have access to all of the different special exhibits all over the museum. And of course, if you aren't down there during the day displaying your exhibit, you'll be able to come look and see the students that were down there during the day. And there, I believe there are a couple different cafeterias there. You can go and have dinner as well. And that's, you know, again, another sort of celebration for NHD and all of the students and teachers and parents.
Excellent. Adrian, I have a question from Twitter. If one of our students in South Korea wrote the question that said, in Korea they use paper size A4, which is really close to 8.5 by 11, but isn't exactly 8.5 by 11. The student is asking, is it okay for her bibliography and process paper to be on a piece of paper that's slightly different, or does she need to go get specifically 8.5 by 11 paper?
Right, so this is a recent issue that we've come across now that we have international affiliates. But for now, that is okay. If your paper size is a little different, that is okay. We will still accept it.
Just be careful. Please avoid the 11 by 17 paper or the legal size paper. That's what we don't want. That's really hard to send to our judges.
Exactly.
Okay. Question for Renee. Renee, question is, can you talk a little bit about the pin trading that happens at the NHD National Contest?
Yes. Pin trading is absolutely wonderful. I wish that I would wear my pin vest, that I have pins from all over the country. Pin trading is one of the favorite things for students because every student comes with pins from their own affiliates, and as they trade pins with students from other affiliates, then they get to meet people from all over the world. And so it's probably a good idea. Make sure you have your pins with you right when you come for registration.
Oh, it looks like we lost Renee there. Matt, can you try to finish up her sentence there, talk a little bit about the pin trading and how it's used?
Sure. Every state, usually every affiliate, brings their own buttons, their own version of buttons, and this is probably the best networking tool that I've ever seen in practice. I think an economics professor should do a study on this, but it's a great way to meet people from other states, from other affiliates, from people all over the world. Sharing your buttons, trading them. Once you get there, you'll find that some buttons are a little harder to acquire than the others. So you'll quickly find who are the good negotiators, who are the good students at acquiring those pins. It's a great way to network. It's a great way to meet new people. So talk to your state coordinator to find out how you're going to get your pins, and definitely get involved in that because it's a lot of fun.
You can see behind Adrian here some of the pins from the last couple years, and I can say that I don't have a very good pin collection being a new NHD national staff member. So anybody who wants to come and bring me a pin, I would love to start my collection for my office, and I am shameless about plugging for that. So I'll say thank you in advance. Come by. Okay, let me ask a question here. Matt, while I've got you, what do you think is the worst thing to forget? And what do you do if you've gotten to the national contest and you realize that something you need is at home? Can you give us some tips or suggestions?
I can think of a lot of bad things to forget. Um, Forgetting your project would be bad. So make sure you bring your exhibit or whatever project you have. If you forget something like your bibliography, which is fairly important for History Day, I think the first step is to not panic because that is the wrong way to go. So don't panic. If it's at home and you do not have a backup copy, if you do not have a backup hard copy, if you do not have a flash drive, if it's not on the internet that you could just simply print it out, try and call home, see if someone can get it for you. Just think about the steps that you could take to get that bibliography or whatever it is that you left at home to have sent to you.
Okay. Millie, I have a question for you here. For many students, the University of Maryland at College Park is a big state university. Would you encourage students to do a college visit while they're here at the University of Maryland, and what kinds of things should they look for?
Oh, definitely. Take advantage of, you're in the area with University of Maryland and George Washington University and Georgetown. You can do all sorts of college visits and see what you know, if it fits. From Iowa, might not always say that a big city university like that in the East Coast is for them, but when you're there, when you're living on campus at the University of Maryland, you get a whole new feel for what college life is like. So take advantage of being in that area and visit as many colleges as you can just to see what it's like and see what fits. I wanted to add to something about what you should pack to come to University of Maryland for History Day. Bring a fitted sheet. The dorms give you 2 flat sheets, and if you're like me, the mattresses, they're kind of slick and plastic, and the flat sheets kind of slide off in the middle of the night, and then you're laying on plastic, which isn't comfortable at all. I bring my own fitted sheet to keep everything in place, and that's kind of important. So, and you'll want that when you go to college as well. So that's a good one to take.
Okay. I actually have one other question that I'm going to ask Jason, but then I'm going to ask our roundtable to kind of go ahead and give us your last final tip, the thing that you've learned after the fact that you wish you knew beforehand or that maybe one of your students in your state has told you about afterwards. But Jason, I have to ask you, what is your favorite thing to do in Washington, D.C.? What's the thing you would tell students, look, if you've got one shot, make sure you don't miss this?
If I only had just a little bit of time and I had to do one thing, it would be just to go and walk the mall. To walk from one end of the mall to the other. You may not get to go into any of the museums, but just to see the people, see the monuments that you can see from walking the mall, and just to be able to say you were there, it's well worth the time.
Well, and those not for Washington, D.C., I just want to clarify, the mall is not the kind of mall that's going to have the H&M store. It's the National Mall. The National Mall essentially stretches all the way from the Lincoln Memorial all the way up to the United States Capitol building. It's a short detour to see the White House. I think it's an absolutely fabulous experience, and I've done that walk with students lots of times through the memorials, and I never get bored of it, and I've probably done it more times than I can count. Okay, so we're going to wrap tonight with asking everyone to give us the one tip. This could either be one tip for the contest, this could be one tip for something to do in DC or something not to forget. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Millie. Is there any other thing that you would like us to know or you think students should know before they get there?
I kind of want to build on what Matt said about don't panic, because everything that you encounter there you can handle. You're History Day kids. You've gotten this far and you can handle it. And look to the National History Day community. I've been involved a lot of times when students, a prop was broken or forgotten or something was lost, and there's always somebody there who has what you need and is willing to share. So rely on the community and just enjoy the experience, and you'll just have the time of your life.
Excellent. Matt, what's your suggestion to students for the last thing you want them to remember as they're getting ready to come to nationals?
I guess I would just reiterate to plan ahead and be prepared. Like I said before, if you really want to see a museum downtown or something in DC, some of the places do have advanced ticketing requirements, so plan ahead for that. But more importantly, for the History Day experience, make sure you're prepared. Like someone mentioned earlier, find out where your interview is, find out where you'll be presenting. Make that walk from the dorms to that building to figure out how much time it takes. Be there a half hour early. Watch some other projects. So my advice is be prepared and prepare yourself for your interview and for the whole experience. I also highly recommend the International Spy Museum. That's a lot of fun downtown.
Jason, go ahead. What's your one tip or suggestion for students that they should not miss while they're at the national contest this year?
Well, one thing I'd like to say just quickly is remember that when you're at the national contest, you're one of approximately, say, 2,800 students that are going to attend the contest out of 500,000 students across the country and world that competed in History Day. So take as much time as you can to spend time with other students, make friends, network, talk to other coordinators, and just enjoy being able to be with other people who have the same kind of interests as you. So spend time making friends.
Excellent. And finally, Adrian, what suggestion would you have for students coming to the 2014 contest?
I think a couple things. I think first, definitely take some time before the contest to prepare and, read over all the information on our registration website. Almost any question you have will probably be there, but if not, you can always contact us. And I think at the contest, I'm going to again repeat the don't panic. Stuff happens, and if so, get in touch with your coordinator, get in touch with us, NHD staff. We're here to help you, so we can figure it out, no matter what it is.
Thanks. And I think I want to reiterate our goal at National History Day is that every student competes and every student has a good experience. I always told my students when I was an NHD teacher that if you're in this to win, you're probably going to be disappointed. The mathematics and the statistics should tell you that. But if you're in here to learn and to grow and to meet people and to have a good experience, I think you're in for a really wonderful time. My 2 tips to students at University of Maryland is there's an ice cream shop on campus. It's hard to find. Go looking. The ice cream's good. And don't miss the Kermit the Frog statue outside of Stamp. Get your selfie taken with Kermit. And that I will also reiterate that we're going to be at the national contest. We're going to be doing our social media. We're going to be live on Twitter. We're going to be on Facebook. Please take advantage, meet new people. If you see any of our coordinators or our NHD staff, please come up and say hello. We love to hear about your projects and we love to talk to you. And we are very much looking forward to seeing you June 15th to the 19th in College Park, Maryland. So on behalf of the NHD National staff and our 57 affiliate coordinating programs around the country and across the country and around the world, we're very excited to see you. I know that I've gotten some messages that there are some people who have struggled to find this. Please pass along to your friends and your colleagues that this will be on the NHD website and can be played. If you have questions, tweet them to #NHD Hangouts, and over the next day or so we will check that and we will tweet back answers to those questions or get in touch with you if we need help. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening. Good night.